be going over ways to paint and draw in Photoshop. Now, prior to this, we had learned how to paint and draw in Illustrator, and Photoshop does some of the same things. It also doesn't have some of the things that Illustrator has, but it also has things that Illustrator doesn't have. And so I'm going to highlight some of those different things and show you what are a couple of tools that are similar to what you already know and love in Illustrator. And before I go through this presentation, I think it's just important to note this is not my strength, okay? And so when I'm showing you this stuff, you might be asking me questions that I don't know the answer to, but I can assure you that we'll figure them out together. So, okay, so something I just want to show you. I have my layers here. Let me extend this down so you can see them a little bit more. This fourth layer actually doesn't have anything on it. I can delete that. Actually, why don't I just leave it for now in case I do have something. This is a picture that I took off of the internet of a Brittany Spaniel, my favorite kind of dog. Hi. Here I have a background layer that is just a solid color. And here's the initial drawing that I made. And I did that directly from this picture right here. I basically traced over it and I simplified it into kind of blocks of color. There's a couple of different tools that you could work with in order to get that far. And then I added more details and more texture on top using another layer. And so when all of them are put together, you can create a really interesting drawing, yeah. And the other one that I'm going to show you, these two are basically the different options that you have for the challenge for this one. This is a picture that I took when I was on a hike over MEA break up by Duluth of the Baptism River, and this is applying kind of texture on top of the photograph that I took using this tool right here, which is called the mixer brush tool. So I'm going to show you some things to do with that as well. All right, so to take a step back, let's open up a new... The first thing I'm going to have you guys do is just explore the different paint brushes that we have. And I'm going to highlight the brush tool and the mixer brush tool right now. And so in the brush tool, remember you can right click to quickly adjust the size and go on to some of the presets that they have here. But if you open up the window, under window, open up the brush panel, you have more options here. So I can adjust the size right here. I can adjust the spacing of this, and so when it's down to like the 0% or 1%, it looks as the lowest it can go down to, versus I have that being more spaced out. What I'm going to do is it's going to draw it more as dots versus like an actual brush stroke. I can adjust the width of that paintbrush, so you can really start to customize these paintbrushes to do exactly what you want them to do. And then these the presets here, if you just click on that button, now you can kind of get a different feel for the different textures that they each have. And these are all the presets. And some brushes are meant to be more like scatter brushes that will do this sort of thing. And so you'll notice with this paintbrush, the scattering is clicked on. And so if I were to click that off, then it's going to do it more as a paintbrush style. So does that kind of make sense how those different things work? So I would like you, once we get to this section, or to the testing out part of it, play around with these different type of adjustments on the brush panel and just kind of see what are some unique things that you guys can do. Some of these presets are also meant for very specific things, like there is one here that could be used for any type of hair or a grass. You also want to be careful so that you're not getting it to be too uniform, so that it does look like it's kind of like a stock image, and then it starts to not look really have the effect, and it starts to look kind of plasticky and sort of fake. So play around with those sort of things. Now, the other one I wanted to show you underneath the brushes is the mixer brush tool. And we have a new set of options up on top here when we click on that tool. What I want, no, that's not it. So here's another picture from the same place I did this hike at. And what I think it's easiest to do this on a picture that you already have, but you could do it on, you know, a drawing that you've done as well, like my painted dog here. Anyways, basically what this does is it acts as though it's a wet brush, and it's going to take this as though these are wet paints that can be mixed around. And so I then can take, maybe I'll adjust this paint size, and it's going to take these colors and mix them based on as you click on top of them, it's going to mix them. So you can adjust, again, you can adjust the paint the brush type here, and it's like it can move that around as though this is grabbing wet paint. So you can almost add this texture, this painterly like texture on here. And that's exactly how I got this photo to look like that. Now there's going to be another way I'm going to show you that does something interesting like this as well in my next demo. And a couple of presets up here that are important to know is that this one will load the brush after each stroke. So it'll take up the color again after each stroke. And this one, when you have this clicked on, it cleans the brush so that when I brush over here and then I go over here, it doesn't bring any of this tan color along, because it's saying that it's coming at each color with a clean brush. Now, if I didn't have that on and I were to do stuff up here in the sky and then come over here, see, I have a little bit of that blue that's still on there because I didn't clean my brush. So very similar to how you paint. If you don't clean your brush, you're going to mix those colors around. It's all depending on what you need. And then we have different presets. So a dry brush versus a wet brush is going to do different things. And in fact, a dry brush is just going to take whatever color you have selected over here in the foreground and paint that. The only way that it's actually going to mix with the photo that you have below is if you have it set as a wet brush. And so right now I have it so it's not cleaning, that's why it's bringing that green in there. So that is two interesting brushes, or different types of brushes, and why don't you test them out?